welcome. I'm happy that you were listening. It's Monday. It's beautiful. Hopefully the weather is great. I think it should be. I mean, even if the weather isn't great, it's still a good day.
I think it's supposed to storm,
Really?
which is awesome. I love the rain.
Yeah, it's
I
fair.
love thunderstorms. It's calming.
Well, I hope everyone is doing well. Make Happiness Monday. We're back. 3rd ever podcast.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
Excitement.
Yay. This week, I really want to focus around the aspect of balance, and I want to focus around life, because I think every aspect and every value, every trait, everything about life all stems from balance. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you're participating in, no matter what is going on, it's balance. And if there's an imbalance of something, then it's not going to be healthy. It's not going to be good for you, and it just doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't live a fulfilling life. It doesn't add anything good for yourself.
Because if your life is filled with just focusing on one thing, you're likely to not, I think, at least in my own opinion, you're likely to be a less happy person because, well, I don't know. That's such a, I don't know if I'm wording this correctly, but it's...
Give it your best shot.
Okay. So I think that balance is a good thing to have, because if your life is filled with just focusing on one thing, you don't have room for the rest of the things that maybe you enjoy doing. So if your life is all work, and you don't get to play, sometimes, you get driven crazy.
Right.
If you've ever seen The Shining, look what happened to them.
That's a fair point. I think, too, it's also just it's crazy that if you don't have, two things, you don't have a balance between the two, then your mind becomes so, not scatterbrained, but really, like you were saying, very drained and not, there's not a lot of energy. You have no, like, if, let's say, let's go back, or I'm going to talk about food real quick. I know, great topic. But let's say you're always eating like one food group, or you're always eating like fast food all the time, but you're never getting any vegetables or any other greens. That's an imbalance in your diet, and you're obviously not going to feel good because eating that much greasy food is just not healthy for you.
Yep.
And it's
you got to take some stuff from every single one of the food groups, essentially. So doing that with the way you live your life,
right,
can only have a similar effect.
Yeah, it's going to give you I think, in my personal opinion, from experiencing this, I think it gives you the most fulfilling life, because if you're balanced in every aspect of your life, then you feel a sense of accomplishment in yourself. Like if you are staying in contact with your closest friends and you're doing well with that, and you're doing well in your relationships, you're doing well in your work life, you're doing well in your education, you're doing well in your sport life, your hobbies, and you're doing well in every aspect. I think it's just very... it makes you way more self-aware, and it makes you feel a sense of accomplishment, like I was saying. And now I'm just repeating myself.
Yeah. But a more stress-free environment for yourself is a lot healthier.
Right. That's one thing I wanted to try to avoid. I noticed I've done it a couple times on this podcast where I'll say the same thing like 4 times, just with different words. So I apologize in advance. I will try my best to stop doing that.
Yeah. That's okay, Ian.
This is really different because we're filming or recording this podcast with all of the windows. Are these blinds or curtains?
Shades.
But
all of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like 8, 9 o'clock. So
it's dark.
It's pretty dark out right now.
It feels weird because usually we do these podcasts in the middle of the day when the sun is shining.
Yep.
And now it's a different lighting, and I don't know how I feel about it.
It's a different mood. Maybe we'll delve into topics not usually discussed.
Set some mood lighting.
Yes.
How was your day? Was it good?
It was good. It was busy.
What'd you do?
Let's see. What did I do? I had a interview actually at a studio over in Excelsior/Minnetonka.
Were you talking about that on the other podcast or no? On the first episode?
I might have.
Well, okay.
I don't know.
If they
I think we briefly talked about me having internship type stuff, but this was one of them. So I went in for an interview with this guy who runs a studio called Drop Tone Studios over in Excelsior, Minnesota. So, and I met him. We talked for a couple hours about things we'd like to accomplish and what I was looking for, what he was looking for, and goals we wanted to have. And I think he really liked me, which makes sense because he offered me the internship position.
I was gonna say,
I'm stoked on that.
Yes, he should be.
Yeah,
that's awesome. My day wasn't that eventful compared to you. You had a lot of very good things going as far as a career and like big moves.
I mean, every day's different. You can't compare. Yeah. You'll get there one way or another.
I interrupted you too. You're gonna say something else.
No, I was just gonna say, and then I ran a studio session for a band called, I think they were called Absolutely Unsure.
Are you unsure?
Yeah, I'm absolutely unsure on the name, which is a little bit of a joke there for you. But yeah, they were a pretty good sort of pop punk influenced band. And it was really fun. It was pretty stress-free. We basically just helped set up all the mics, all the chairs for like the live viewing. So basically how it's set up is just it's like a standard studio recording, but the full band is playing and there's audience members that can buy tickets to watch them do it and be a part of the videos that we record.
I've never heard of that.
So you could come to the next one.
If I'm not working, is it usually on weekends?
It's honestly whenever.
Okay.
They just schedule and I'm like, I can be there. So I'll let you know the next one.
Well, I was riding my bike for most of the day today, which is pretty rad because the weather's been really good recently and all the snow's gone finally. So that's cool. But it was really windy today and I had a headwind for like majority of my ride. So that was kind of a pain, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I was outside, I was riding my bike, and that's all that matters. It was fun.
That's what you like doing.
Yeah, that's right. And my dad's birthday was last week, so I went over to my parents' house and we had dinner with them, so that was cool. It's always good to see your parents.
Tell them I say happy birthday.
Well, I would have, but
well, come on, man.
Well, if they listen to this, then they heard it. So
happy birthday. I hope you had a fantastic day.
Seeing as this podcast or this episode isn't as structured as far as topics to talk about, so why not? I'm going to dive into the blog that I wanted to talk about for this week and talk about the behind the scenes of why I decided to write this one. And this one actually is fairly recent. This was on April 11th, 2018. The title of the blog is called After All, Why Not? And this one was kind of focused around stepping out of your comfort zone, trying something new. And this all stemmed from my girlfriend asking me to go to a formal dance with her for her sorority, and I'm not a very outgoing person when it comes to big groups and strangers because I don't really like socializing with people I don't know. But it was I'm glad that I did it because it helped me learn a lot more about just doing things outside of your comfort zone. Is a good thing once in a while. You know, it's good to expand your horizon, as cliche as it is. But the blog I was really excited about this one because it was just talking about doing something once a day or even just once a week that you don't normally do and stepping outside of your comfort zone because why not?
And you might find out that you really like doing that.
Totally. Yeah, I've actually a couple of like my favorite things that I like to do I had never would have thought of that would have been something that I like doing until I did it for the first time, like rock climbing. I thoroughly enjoy rock climbing, but I'm terrified of heights. So you'd think that
that seems like a really scary thing to do, especially if you already know you have that fear. It's just like,
but it's so fun.
Why would I climb up a sheer rock wall? But
I don't know. It's just I don't know. I guess I like the adrenaline maybe, or like the fact that it's very strategic because you can only like touch certain rocks or certain holds on the wall.
Build a strategic path.
Maybe that's why I like it so much, but the heights are definitely terrifying. I do encourage you though, if you've never done it or if you're like thinking about you've wanted to go or tried rock climbing, do it. It's the most fun you'll ever had.
But it kind of goes back to what we talked about the other week, where you turn something that gets you nervous or you're worried about into excitement. You psych yourself up and you just go for it.
Totally. And then also, so going back to the blog, there was at the bottom, for all of you who already read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But for the people who didn't, there was a photo of like a big blur around me standing in the middle of a road. And then I was talking about how the photo was super accurate to the how I felt when I was at the formal dance, because I felt not really like an outcast, but I felt like I didn't fit in because it's not my lifestyle. So I was just sitting there looking at everyone and observing everyone. So that was really weird, because I had nothing to add to the conversation of other people, because they're talking about things that I don't care about or know a lot about or like have any interest to talk about.
That could definitely be hard to adapt to.
Yeah. But it was I'm glad that I did it, because now it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable if I were to go to another one, or if I went to something similar, not simpler. I would have more of an understanding and more, I guess, awareness of what it would be like, because I've also never been to any one of these kind of events before, so I didn't know what to expect. Now I know what to expect a little bit more, so it's easier, I guess.
And I'm sure no one has any expectations for every single person to have this kind of knowledge. We're all people. We all come from the same thing, essentially, and it's not like if you're here, you have to do this. You have to be this type of person. Everyone's different. You're going to be. I mean, there's how many people were there? Was it a pretty big event?
Yeah, there was probably maybe upwards of like 200 people.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there's a couple hundred different people there. So
right,
I'm sure you weren't the only one thinking the same thing.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But it was just interesting, because actually, here's another fun fact. I had to go out, so the formal was, the reason it's called a formal is because you have to dress up for it. And I don't own any nice clothes, like at all. The nicest clothes that I owned but prior to this day was a flannel.
Yep.
So I had to go out and I had to buy a tie and I had to buy a nice dressy shirt. I think I borrowed, or I had some old dress shoes that I wore from prom or from homecoming or something from high school, but I didn't have any dressy pants to wear, so I just wore khakis. I mean,
dude, the same thing. I wear black jeans practically every day, and I mean that from a distance you can't even tell they're jeans. They could be black pants. Hey man,
well, black pants or black, they're
pretty
jeans
neutral.
Are black pants, aren't they?
I don't know. Are they?
Well, they're black pants.
Well, you know what I mean, like dressy pants. What was I saying? I like completely lost my train of thought.
What were you talking about beforehand? Not wearing dressy clothes.
I don't know. We're talking about pants all of a sudden. We were talking about the formal and your not so casual wear, and
but
having to sort of commit to doing something different.
But what were you had a train of thought that you were going for?
Oh god, it probably wasn't anywhere interesting, to be honest.
Okay.
Talking about black jeans.
Yeah, that was funny though. That was a good thing.
Keep that one in.
I don't know what else I could talk about. I could talk a little bit about how all the people there. It's like, I didn't know how to phrase it, but like their lifestyle is completely different from, because I come from a skater, stoner background, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're all like preppy, like really like football driven and like very, a typical like frat dude.
Oh, frat bro type thing. Okay. I was going to say if it was just like that kind of comes with growing up and going into college and past that, but never mind about that, because frat houses aren't exactly like the most mature places all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Because the sorority, like the whole sorority went to this formal dinner, and then they would bring a date with, and usually, or they would have a boyfriend or whatever, or like a friend, and typically it would be other guys who were in frats or other people who were in college that were at the U of M. So it was just, I don't know, not ideal.
Yeah, not your most suitable setting.
No, but I mean, it was cool, and I'm excited to go and do another one or do something similar, because I think it really helped me grow, as I said earlier. It's always a good thing to step out of your comfort zone and do something new once in a while.
I gotta say though, there was actually this one time a few months ago, I went to a stock exchange office because investments and such.
Investments.
Yes. I'll just leave it very vague. So I was there trying to withdraw some money. I was dressed up in a bandana, some black skinny jeans, and a sweatshirt, and everyone else there was wearing suits, and I definitely got some funny looks. So it's definitely strange to go into these new places, but who cares? You're you, they're them.
That's another good point.
Don't be discouraged by what other people tell you.
Or what other people think of you.
Yeah.
Because, it's your own life. You should live it how you want to live.
For sure.
That was the one thing, too, I was talking to my girlfriend about when we went. I was just like, I know that I'm not this kind of, I don't affiliate, but I'm not considered in this sort of lifestyle, but I'm just going to do it anyways because I care about what she's passionate about and I care about her hobby. So I'm invested in her and I'm invested in the relationship. So I wasn't doing it to go out and make new friends. I was doing it because of what she liked, which I think is a good thing.
That's always important to support what your significant other does. And
which is going back to talking about balance. It's like you got to have both sides. You got to.
It's a compromise.
Exactly.
Because the same goes for them. So they might not be always up for what you like doing, but they'll do it because they care about who you are and what you do. So
I saw this quote the other day by Jim Carrey that I thought was really cool and I liked it a lot. He said, the effect that you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. I thought this really stood out. I remember this just because he is in a position where he knows the effect that you can make on other people as well as he has a lot of money. So the fact that he can say that the money it's not about making all this money. It's about the real effect and the real value that you can bring to other people. And it's not about, all these just basically paper dollars, because in all reality, what does money really have? It just buys you more things.
Yeah.
It doesn't buy you real self-fulfillment and real value to other people, whereas the effect that you can make in other people's lives is the most important thing that you can do to other people or in your own life, I think.
And he's very much in the public eye, and that's cool that he can do that. Like, he's a comedian, very respected comedian in movies. Like, I'm sure you could list off a handful of Jim Carrey movies just right off the bat.
Yes Man was a really good one.
Yeah, yep.
That was about positivity.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And the law of attraction. Continue.
Yeah. So I just was remembering, like, when Robin Williams passed away, I just remember everyone, including myself, being like, oh man, that's such a terrible loss, because he was so respected and everyone loved how funny he was and what he brought to movies. And even like he was in serious movies and he was just a lovable person. And that goes for anyone, like, really. So,
right.
Like, my grandfather passed away a few weeks ago, and he had such a big influence on me. We done everything. I mean, even though he lived in Iowa, a few hours away from me, I'd find myself going down there all the time with my parents, and we'd do stuff like fish, or we just hang out. He told me stories about, I don't know, when he was younger, or I don't know. He was just such a funny, interesting guy that definitely left an impression on me. Like, everyone told me when I went down there for the funeral that I look very similar to him and how I sort of carry a similar sense of humor to him. So
oh, wow.
That definitely kind of got
That's
to me a little
crazy.
bit.
When someone or someone like a loved one or a friend even that passes away, and it's really hard to deal with, and it's crazy how much of an impact that you didn't know that they had on you until they're gone.
Yeah.
Which is pretty insane.
It's sometimes hard to realize that when it's not really taking it for granted, but it's just something you're not used to not having.
Well, yeah, and it's not like you're thinking about what if my friend dies tomorrow. It's like you're not having that thought.
Right.
And then, like, life can happen, and something really bad or some negative situation may happen, and then they may not be with us anymore. And as bad as that is, I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. And one of the most important things is that you did get to cherish those moments you got to experience with them. You did get to be a part of their life. The fact that they did make an impact on you is a really valuable and really important thing.
For sure.
All right. I want to switch gears a little bit and go back to talking about balance, because it's kind of the main focus of this episode or podcast. I don't know. Should I call them episodes?
We can call it episode. Okay. Episode 3.
That's right.
Revenge of the Ian.
Yeah, the new Avengers movie came out.
Well, that was more of a reference to Star Wars, but
no, you
fair.
Yeah, I don't watch films.
Yeah, that's okay.
So losing my train of thought. So balance is really important, but there's also a time when, like I was saying, life is imbalanced, and there's going to be, if there's a situation in your life right now where you don't feel like a certain aspect of your life, or whether it's work related or relationships or whatever the case may be, you don't feel like it's going in the right direction you want it to be. Well, a good rule of thumb that I always use is I always ask myself, well, if I'm not where I want to be, why? Why am I not where I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And then where do I want to go? Where do I want to be instead of where I'm at? And why am I still here rather than where I want to be?
Mm-hmm. And then sort of asking yourself how you can get there,
mm-hmm.
and what steps can you take?
Well, yeah, it's about self-discovery and self-awareness. I think that's a very big thing, because if you have that awareness of where you want to be at the end, then it's much easier to find the balance between everything, because you have a sense of focus.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know where you want to be, then it can get really easy to become lost and not know what you want to do, and just become this kind of, I guess, autopilot human that just goes through life not really amounting to their true potential or their true vision of what
mm-hmm.
they should pursue, because they're so caught up in just living and not having any definitive or like very defined focus.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I totally think also that it's okay if something isn't balanced, because I've noticed, not recently, but I guess more or less last year, my life was very heavily, when I was working at QBP for the first summer, I hated it. I thought it was a really crappy job, and to this day I still kind of think it is, because I work in a glorified warehouse essentially. So I just process orders all day, and it's very repetitive and it can be very mundane. But I also know that I'm working towards something that I'm going to be excited about, because make happiness is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And QBP is just kind of a stepping stone in that direction. It's just a way for me to pay for my rent and pay for all my expenses while I'm doing Make Happiness on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not more or less, even though I don't like the job and I don't like where I'm at right now, I know in the long run it's going to benefit me, even if it's not in a position that I want to be in right now. It's just what it is.
Mm-hmm. And that's life in general, is doing
mm-hmm.
things you don't always want to do, but it's on your way to creating that lifestyle that you do want to live. And that's your balance right now. Like, you're doing something that you might not necessarily love to do forever,
mm-hmm.
but that's your hardworking phase. And then you get to do, on your off time, you get to do things you love to do, like going for bike rides like you did today. So
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fair point. That's a very true statement. I like that. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I have to talk about. Do you have anything to add?
Not really, honestly. It's a pretty short one today. It's,
mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes that happens. Maybe it's the lighting, maybe it's the time of day. Yeah. I don't know. I'm still really energetic though, and I'm really happy. And I think this podcast stuff is going really well. If you have any feedback or have any suggestions, please let me know. Contact me on social media. I'm always down to try something new or do something different. If you want to hear something, or you wanted me to focus on something specifically, I'd be more than happy to.
Mm-hmm. We're always open for constructive criticism, so if you guys have any advice for us, that's gladly accepted.
I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Make it the best week of your life, and always make happiness.
Yes. Set yourself some goals. Stay positive. Stay driven.
Enjoy life.
See you next week.